we're not going to make too long today. So I have one little game. Hopefully, we can try. And so today I wanted to, also talk. I saw there was a discussion going on. I think Victoria was asking about moonshots. We'll talk a little bit about moonshots today as well, and about passion and about some features that maybe are important. That's maybe also important for Beatrice for the startup part. So did we actually share Ratucha with the group at Moritz? What you guys have won? Did we do this last time? No? Do you want to share something, or Moritz?
Also ich bin noch ein bisschen drüber. Rutucha can share this. She's the lead in this project.
Oh, she's the lead. That's very good.
So me and Moritz had applied together for this InnoHealth USA campaign, and we are selected. So if everything works well with Corona, then we would be going for a tour to the US in June. So it is summer, good time.
We'll go to the East Coast first, right? To Boston.
To Boston and then Silicon Valley.
And then to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So with our BodyTune device, very good. I have more info on BodyTune I can share with you guys with Moritz and Ratucha separately today. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. I just pulled this picture out because I thought it was fitting to what Al Gore just said, because I have the sustainability down there. So I believe that if we do health separately and we just look at new devices, new procedures, we will fail. We need to look at health in the context of human health, and in the context of environment, social commitment, and also economic stability. So there needs to be more than just the health part involved. There needs to be a completely sustainable health model around. And that's why we need to take care of making sure that everybody has enough to eat, everybody has a decent amount of income, because otherwise they will not be able to actually take health as a priority. And we need to actually go, and this is what this chart shows, the cost. We need to disrupt services and products by actually looking very carefully at cost issues. So this I just put this out again. This is just something I just put in right now because of the talk from Al Gore. Okay, just a little housekeeping. So that's today, right? Today we'll talk a little bit about lean entrepreneurship and some additional advices, and again the moonshot and the passion. There will be the next lecture will be on January 15th. We will also do. I don't have to move the. Does anybody see what the starting time is? I forgot. I can't see it. Can you see it or not?
On the 8th on the 15th January.
Yeah. What is the starting time?
17.
17.
5
We can always decide. Okay, 17 to 19. I can see I couldn't read the 1700 because it's covered with the videos, with the screens. Okay, there is no lecture on the 22nd because I'm on a little business trip. But we'll move that to the 29th of January, if you don't mind. And I will provide you on the 29th. We'll just maybe do a final discussion on the team assignment, and I will go through with you. I have prepared a 60-slide summary. So I basically put all the most important slides out that I believe are important to keep. And they will most likely also be the ones that I use for the test. So if you look at these 60 ones, it's good enough. I can say that. And then on the final lecture we'll do on the 5th of February. Is that all okay with everybody? And then we'll do the team presentation. I'm thinking about 10 minutes. I mean, we have plenty of time, but I thought about maximum 10 minutes for the presentation, plus some Q&A that we can do. And then we do this little test. I have prepared the test already. It's kind of funny. It's so you have to bring your cell phones. So we do that online, and it's with Kahoot. And so we should be done within, I don't know, an hour, a little bit more than an hour. Okay, but I'll blend that in. All right, is it clear? Housekeeping? Yeah, everybody nods. I don't see Christoph nodding, but I assume if he doesn't say anything, it's fine. Okay. Anyway, this is the old chart you always see all the time. So I would like to have a little presentation on the site. You know, again, most important things that's we have mentioned that so many times, but it doesn't is not wrong to repeat it. The learning is important. So it's not important that you improve necessarily your graph. The graph should just point out where you should invest some more time, and it's not the goal to actually be the highest one and the best. The goal is to find out when you did something wrong or when you did something right. And it also should show on where you maybe should improve your current process. Okay. So, want to present, Surak?
Yeah, that's I can share my screen.
I have to allow you to do this probably. So Holger is going to do it.
Yeah, I will go through, and if something is missing, my group members can.
Okay, so you're the host now. And by the way, just so you know why my hair are so short, because I think it's really funny, because I made a picture of it today. This is can you see it? This is how I looked. Because my wife used
Ich konnte das nicht in deiner Musiksammlung finden.
Yeah, my wife used the shaver, and she forgot to actually set it to the right, and then there was this stripe there, and then I said, okay, fine, might as well get rid of everything. So this is how it happens. Anyway, okay, Holger.
So yeah, we made a presentation for the Surak group assignment. Started to have an overview from the idea for surgical audio guidance, a clear statement for the problem. Again, the MTP, our mission.
Yeah, do all this later. This is the one basically you prepare already for the presentation for the final one. Yeah, do this later. I'm only interested right now in what have you done to improve your setup, and what were your learnings to a certain extent.
Yeah, we have made a short video.
Cool.
So as
okay, so that's your MVP. Okay.
Yeah, as an introduction to our customers and for the survey, what is coming in the next slides. So it's just a 30 seconds teaser to show how the device is used, what is the procedure, and what is the possible outcome by using the device. And yeah, to show the customer the features that is an easy to use stick-on or add-on with to minimize complications, and yeah, by this size, the cost efficiency.
I would advise you. I would advise you to maybe to add some fake features. In other words, just you add some. We were always thinking it's on this traffic light pattern. You know, when you kind of like show red, 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 or a green blinking and then orange blinking, and maybe you have the diagnostic image superimposed to a guiding to the path. I mean, something like that, where you show them a user interface and you show them the results. Otherwise, it will be difficult for the user to understand the advantages. Yeah, so I would just an advice. I mean, if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. But that would be really then MVP, where you kind of like fake things. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be done. You just can envision what could have been done. You know.
Yeah, this was the first cut. We will also add some writings into that. There is clearly stated what is the highlight to using by using the device.
Okay.
The next one is again, elevator pitch was already done. Then our customer survey we worked on. So this is then after observing the use of the Varus needle, what is then recorded, and then to have a discussion with the surgeon for different things. Yeah, you can see here, it's a survey from 4 pages. And we worked on the customer experiment with a mobile tissue phantom in a black box, where the surgeon inserts a varus needle with and without the thorac device. And forward to this, there's also then some questions according to the use and the clear and provided feedback. And yeah.
Did you try this out already?
The black box?
No, did you try this? Did you do customer experiences, experiments?
From this ones?
No, I mean, you say you are doing a customer experiment. Did you do
Yeah.
some customer experiments already?
We will do it within this month.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you provide them with a diagnostic image as well, or with an ultrasound or something? Because that would be realistic, because they have an ultrasound, maybe not for the varus needle. For the varus needle, they have no ultrasound, right? So it's only for the varus needle.
So what we are really planning to do in January is with the varus needle for now. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need an ultrasound. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, and the following things are the value proposition canvases for different stakeholders here, for the surgeon industry and the robotic industry, the needle industry, and for patients.
You always, when you do a value proposition canvas, just as a statement, you always need to actually come up with what is the value proposition you're actually testing.
Yeah.
So what is the value proposition?
Then for the varus needle.
No. That's the product. But what is the value proposition canvas? Checks a value proposition.
Yeah.
So basically, what you do is you make a value proposition for the surgeon to see on whether easy access is the top one, right? So you need to actually test it for one value proposition. It's not necessarily for the Sura concept. That's how you normally would do a value proposition canvas. Yep. When you look at the canvas, it also says over on top of it, who is the customer, or who is it you're testing for, and what is the value proposition you're testing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it from our side.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. So now you are the host now. So now who wants to present for group number 2? Beatrice again, or
for the Exobot group?
Anna's doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So then give Anna the host.
Done.
Thank you. Okay. Can you see it now? Okay. So we also prepared a presentation. I will just quickly go through things that we already have.
It's not wrong that you do this, but I think that's really good. It's already you basically have 3/4 of the work done for the final presentation. But I was more interested in seeing what kind of experiment you have done and what the results were. So this is all good, and let's keep it. But we don't have to go through this necessarily right now. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, just the updates.
Yeah.
This was our solution. This was the initial visualization of the solution.
Can you go back one time? Is this your? Did you, or are you coming with an MVP later on, or?
Yeah, this is one that we already had, and I think we already.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Here we also did not make any changes. We defined every aspect of the business model canvas. This is an update, and here some interesting aspects are, for example, that for the key partners, we decided that it would be good if we cooperate with some experts on exoskeletons, and that we could let them help us with the production of the exoskeleton. Also, interesting that the revenue streams, so we would have the app where we have a monthly subscription that brings the money, and for the skeleton, we would share the revenue with the company that is the sales for the skeleton go to the company, to our group, and also to healthcare providers that are involved in the promotion of the product. Yes, this is also maybe interesting. Our values, our main values are performance enhancing. It's cheaper than personnel, available anytime, anywhere, everyone. It's user friendly, fastens recovery, time saving, has a fun factor, motivating, brings back autonomy and eases workload.
Which do you think is the most important one?
Of our value proposition, of our values, I think it depends on the customer, but for the ones that we wrote down here, it's probably the money, because they hypothetically can get the same result with a lot of discipline and a lot of, yeah, so money, time savings.
I think you already said it. Maybe it makes sense to actually, if you have different customers, really clearly different customers, that you make some form of color coding. Yellow customer to yellow value proposition, you know, red customer to red. So you have a little bit of a feeling of, because the business model canvas should cover the business, right? And there could be different customers in there. There could be different value propositions in there. When you look at the value proposition, you normally do a value proposition per customer per value proposition, right? So that's different. You dive deeper into, but here you sum it all up. And so it makes more sense to actually try to actually come up with some form of color coding.
Okay, yeah.
So it makes a little bit more sense. You can also communicate it better then, because you can now say we have patients with muscular dysfunction, neuromotor disorders, maybe are more interested in performance enhancing than in anything. They don't care about money, right? But then maybe injured, fractured people, they want to have it cheap because they only have it temporarily. I don't know. I'm just making it up right now.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and for we also went into some more detail with the value proposition canvas, but this I think we also presented.
But for which customer did you do it? For everyone?
For patients in generally, yeah, in general, yeah.
Now everything. I mean, you know that also from the science part. The more specific you get, the more reliable your information is. The more general you are, the more error margin you have built in, right? So, and that's the same thing goes with these value proposition canvases. If you do it for each potential customer, you will see maybe which are the important features that you have to focus on. Now you have everything mixed together and you don't know which is the most important feature that you should actually focus your development on. And you find this out by actually doing a selection process. You select the customer and then you have a selected amount of features and gains and pains to that. And then you should say, which is my most important customer? Which is my least important customer? And then for the most important customer, which is the most important feature? Because that's what you should concentrate on. It makes no sense that you're going back to the car example, that you design an air conditioner before you have designed on whether the thing can go faster from A to B. Yeah. So focus on the things that are important. That's what that value proposition canvas shows you, or should show you. And that's what you should take when you do these experiments, these customer experiments. You actually go out and see, by the way, so how might we actually design this? Would it be more important for you to have this feature or this feature? I mean, this is an easy question, but try to find out what is really important to the customer, because your assumption what's important for the customer may not be the same assumption of what the customer thinks is important for him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so maybe that's why it's good that we talk. That's what you should show also, and you should show. I mean, this is also something will you find out later on. You say, this is my first assumption. Here's my value proposition canvas, and then, damn it, I have actually asked 10 customers, or I've checked with 10 customers. I've done some customer experiments, and I found out that this is not really true. What I put down my first one, take it off or scratch it through. But I have found out they're much more important on this one. This is the learning process.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, if we go to our customers and we have there maybe a distinction between hospitals and patients with some mobility disorder. So then there's a clear distinction. But for patients alone, it's maybe there's a lot of overlap. So it was.
Yeah, but again, you make the whole thing more valuable the more specific you can be.
Got it.
Because also specificity means is like who, I mean, if there is a general problem, who you're trying to actually address now? A potential patient, a real patient. Who do you go to? And the more specific you can be, the more specific you can address a customer, and you can find actually a customer. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Next.
So yeah, we are also thinking that with this product we have some access to the blue ocean to a certain degree at least. For one reason, we are entering a new market because the current rehabilitation strategies are designed in a way that they need guidance and supervision from a professional.
So what is the what is the main blue ocean strategy? It's lower and reduce cost and raise and maybe find out a new value, right? And this is what they call value innovation. So you should look at what is, and goes in line with your value proposition canvas. Use the value proposition canvas to find out what is the most important feature. And this is the increased value. This is what you focus on. And everything else that is not necessary, you get rid of, and then you reduce cost. So cost reduction and focus on specific values creates a value innovation. This is what Blue Ocean is all about. So going back to the car, so you have a car, and what you're trying to do is maybe you put a instead of a pedal, you put a motor in there. So this is because A to B going is the more important feature, and you get rid of the air conditioning, you get rid of the windows or whatever. You just focus on that to make that to have this distinguish yourself from the competition.
Okay.
Okay, that doesn't sound that convinced yet.
No, I got it. Yet a somewhat different approach. Sorry.
No, I mean, let's look at the Exobot. I mean, this is also good for the story. The Exobot, there is maybe 3 Exobots around, or 4 or 5. I don't know. Yeah, and you are actually coming in there, and so I'm Exobot number 6. So why would people pick your Exobot? Well, being cheap doesn't hurt, right? That would be a really good thing. But maybe it is because you are actually focusing on a part that is the most important to the customer. And by doing that and getting rid of all the other stuff, you save a lot of costs. So you actually, what you do is you give the customer what he or she really wants at a low price. Rather than being Exobot number 6, doing the same thing that all the other 5 Exobots do, you need to distinguish yourself. So you create a value innovation. That's the point of Blue Ocean.
If I can say something, in my opinion, our Blue Ocean strategy, the best thing is not related to the costs, because honestly, I don't know how cheaper can be compared to other things, because also Exobot can be expensive. But the thing is, in this project, the new strategy is that we create a new market, basically.
Okay, but Beatrice, don't misunderstand. When I say cost, or when they say cost, it doesn't mean necessarily that the goal is to reduce the price as much as possible. The goal is to use the money you don't need for the features that are not needed, and invest that money into the feature that is very important. This is the goal.
I think our really important feature can be that it's really in a playful area, you know, like it's not just a physiotherapist tell you do this, like you're doing the exercise while having fun, which also maybe later a video will show, like how we try to connect those things, you know, we need to have it in a playful but still safe, therapeutical correct environment.
Let's make an example. Your Exobot costs 10,000 euro to manufacture, and everybody else's Exobot costs 10,000 as well, right? But everybody of the other exobots has 10 features and every feature costs 1,000 euros. What you say is, I don't have 10 features, I have only 2 features. But I put 8,000 in one feature and 2,000 in the other one. So I make this feature that is important to the customer. He's only interested in these 2. He doesn't really give a damn about the other 8. I put all the effort in these features that are important. So I save money on taking features out. So I reduce the cost and use this money to invest in the features that are important. And that's what the value innovation is all about. Yeah. So it's not, when I say cost, it's not always means that we have to dramatically drop the cost, but we should invest the money and the resources that we have smartly.
Yeah, but isn't it the most important that it's customer friendly, that it's ease of use and gives you joy while doing it? I mean, that's how we approach to this topic, you know?
Yeah, that may be true. That's what you think, but have you verified it?
Sorry?
Have you verified it? This is a customer experiment, right? This is all what we do. This is always the things that we do wrong. We always assume, because we look in the mirror and say, if I would be that, that's what would be important for me. Maybe you're right, but maybe you're not right. And you need to do these customer experiments to verify that and to actually check it. Yeah.
Then just tell me where I can get 10,000 euros to produce the exobot and test it.
Okay, you're the experts. You're the domain experts. I am not an expert, so you have to decide. But what I'm trying to just teach you or communicate to you is assumptions need to be verified. And that's why we do these experiments. We try to actually find out which are the most important features, and then we focus our development on this, right? So that was, again, when you remember this prototyping one, when I said, what is a car? And then the best one was a skateboard or a scooter. A skateboard or a scooter, the value proposition was going faster from A to B. That is being provable with a skateboard or with a scooter. I don't need to build a car for that. Otherwise, I would have had to complete the car to show that value proposition is true as an experiment. So this is why minimal viable prototypes in combination with these customer experiments are so valuable.
So as long as we don't have results from a minimal viable prototype or an experiment, we can't even think about a blue ocean strategy. Is this the takeaway?
Yeah, I'm not saying that blue ocean strategy is always the best method. You know, maybe it's not actually applicable for you. Maybe you have good arguments to say it's not needed. If you don't have a red ocean, right? The red ocean would be trying to manufacture a car when you have lots of other car manufacturers around. You are actually trying to come up with a new product in a market segment that doesn't really exist. So blue ocean may not be the right approach for you. I'm just trying to teach you blue ocean for the future. Yeah, but it may not be the right approach for this one. Yeah. But thinking about a value innovation, which means thinking about which is the highest and most important feature that I need to have, and to focus on that is also being taught by Blue Ocean. So that in general, there are some good features about this methodology. But it probably is more applicable to things like I showed you this one injector, right? This MR injector, that's an existing market, right? So for that, it makes a lot of sense to think about, I want to really focus on that feature that is the most important to the customer and then dramatically reduce the cost. Because I'm in a red ocean, you know, I have these competitions around me and I have to really distinguish myself dramatically from them, not by 10% better. I need to be 10 times better or 100 times better. And so it depends on what your product fits into. And Blue Ocean may not be the right one for you, for that one.
So basically, this was the misunderstanding maybe here. If we even thought that there is an existing market, actually we are thinking that we are entering a new market, or this is the hope that we have with this product. Yeah. So, but if we are comparing to anyone that is already there, then it's classical physiotherapy, but nothing like, not another product.
So maybe again, so Blue Ocean may not be the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Maybe just useless or not applicable. But
Okay.
let's assume there would be already 5 of these exobots around, and you come in there now, and there's a market of 10 billion. Then you say, how can I introduce a new exobot in this segment? Then you would use Blue Ocean, maybe. Yeah. Anything else?
There's a little more. So for the prototyping
cool.
stage, we made a cartoon.
I think you may need to get out and just put it in the browser, copy it into a browser.
Oh, you can see it now?
It's a different window. You need to probably open up that because now your window is PowerPoint, and you need to open up the browser as a window.
Can you see now?
Yep. We'll do Powtoon at the end. Powtoon. Doesn't look good anymore. Oh, very good. Was nice.
And I have to switch again. One moment, because we made
Moritz enjoyed it. Holger was enjoyed it. He was dancing to the music.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how long did it take you to do this?
About 45 minutes, 1 hour.
It's a joke, isn't it? I mean, what we would have taken before. I think the most important thing is that you have like some form of directions of what you will do first and second, like kind of like write a book on it, and then
that's given actually. The most important work was actually to upload the pictures, because it was not easy to handle. Like the plug and play wasn't working so well, and to adjust everything showing up at the correct time frame.
Cool. So I mean, but see, if you really would invest maybe another hour or two, you could really make that beautiful. And can you imagine? I just think, I mean, put the empathy forward. Right? You show that to somebody, how powerful such a device is, such a little 1 minute 30 video.
I'm gonna test it actually today on my guests that come later to my house.
Okay. But you know what you should do, and I show this to my wife every once in a while too. I said, look at this and tell me later on whether you understood what they wanted to sell me and what was so good about it.
That's actually why I invited involved people.
Don't tell them anything.
I have no idea about this. I just want to get the pure feedback.
Because what you do normally is you are in this business already now for some weeks, right? You know about it, and it's all kind of logical to you, right? But it's not logical to outsiders. So I like the cartoon. However, I would try to actually make it even a little shorter, and try to focus on really the thing that on this value proposition. I would really focus a little more on the device, possibly.
And actually now it's what just you asked for, coming for.
And that's your cell phone your app prototype.
Exactly. It's in process, but so far we have this.
Today, we work on the netmass and the coordination. Please put on the exoskeleton press start to get started. Our first exercise asks us, bend your knees and go down as if you sit down on a chair. You're bent too far forward. Keep your back straight. That's better. Go on with your next squat. That's it for today. Press statistics to see your weekly progress.
This is so important, is this gamification part, you know? I have a gold, silver, or bronze status. I think it's really cool.
So that was it.
What you guys really should use, I'm working on a very large project here in the Ruhr Valley with theoretically several hundred millions of euros for a digital health environment. And I have used now the EXO model for that too, to think about how to create a setup that would benefit everyone. And you should really use this EXO. I would really like you to do this, at least for the final presentation, that you really think about exponential attributes and how you can actually make the whole thing, you know, scale, and what kind of attributes you can integrate. So please use the EXO canvas too in the final.
You mentioned you work on this like app program that is supporting like the health insurances, or
No. There is a federal program right now from the German Health Ministry, which provides 4 billion euros to the hospitals, to the German hospitals, based and it's actually distributed to the states. So the state of North Rhine-Westphalia, where I'm in, gets about 850 million. And the 850 million is then redistributed to the hospitals based on them actually applying for 11 different areas. And one of the areas is, for example, have a patient portal, a digital patient portal, having AI programs for image analysis, IT security, cloud services, etc. So there's all these different areas. Interesting enough, I don't think that the University Hospital of Magdeburg has actually applied for this or will apply for this. So the money probably goes then to other states as well.
So it's not therapy based, right?
Could also
be an organizational program, right?
Could add everything that has to do with putting a hospital on the digital level, even having a TV system and an entertainment system for the patients in the hospital. That's also part of that. So there is lots of or emergency system where you basically make sure that when there's an emergency call, that the emergency driver is actually doing some form of pre-check, knows what happens, and then puts the patient to wherever there is an open place.
There's a good idea. Just ask in an app the 6 V's, you know, where, when, why, and so on. Yeah.
And so that will all be digital from, I don't know if you guys know, but from January 1st on, the electronic patient Patientenakte, it has been introduced in Germany. So everything now has to be interoperable, has to be intersectoral. So whatever happens in the hospital needs to be communicated to the doctors digital. There's no more fax, and a lot of the hospitals are not up to date, and that's what this money is used for, and it's also used for actually stimulating future investments.
Do you know why Magdeburg won't apply for it?
I don't know if Magdeburg does apply or not. I simply don't know, but I have not heard about it. And somehow you would know if there's because then you need to have an external consultant involved on this one, and you need to have a plan. So you need to actually clearly say who needs what should we invest in, and you should actually know a lot about this setup. So if anybody is interested in that, you can all become consultants for that, and you have to pass a test with the German Health Ministry. It's not that complicated, I can tell you that. I can even I'm doing this right now. I'm dumping the training program. I put this together, this training program. I put this in the chat. Can I do this in the chat? Oh, I'm not the host. Can I be host again? No, it doesn't work. I'll drop it to you in the WhatsApp group. So if anybody's interested in that, you get a certificate and you're now an official IT consultant for this part, and you can actually help hospitals to actually apply for these and maybe to even have a status quo on the digitization. It's very interesting. Okay, well, thank you very much. Let me just go back to mine now. Here we go. So please, for the next time, we do this now every time. Just think about, again, these customer experiments. I already thought it was pretty cool what you all have shown, and show the learnings. So you have all this repository from the Launchpad, which says if I have a deficit. I have not seen, by the way, have you, you have not shown the assessment, right? The Launchpad assessment? Did you do that?
No, actually, please, Anna.
Yeah.
Did it this time because we looked at the gaps from last time and considered that we had no progress so far. So
well, you have a little bit progress because now you have defined your product. So you will probably be able to actually, if you had some definitions on the, or some issues on the product definition, you will also probably get something on the not necessarily on the abundance. The abundance part would be also using the EXO canvas, but you have at least identified in your business model canvas the potential income, and that's already a business model. So you will probably, and viability, you will probably get a higher marking. So I think you have done something, right? Okay. Just a reminder, so please do that every year. Just a real reminder, individual assignments. I've received it so far from Christoph. I gave him a couple of comments on this one, and from Beatrice, and not from anybody else. Yeah, I know it's due at the end of the lecture, but due times can be broken and can be done earlier, right?
Michael, can you check the WhatsApp chat, please? There was one in the individuals in the PDF that you shared, and I didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but what is this? I mean, I handed in everything besides this because I have no idea what it is.
No, that has nothing to do with it. That is the last one is just basically said, if you ever come up with unmet clinical needs, define them. So it's not, I just wanted to use this because it could have been that you went out and you found new unmet clinical needs. And also for the initial part of our lecture, if you have unmet clinical needs, this is a good way to document them. And we have a database now that we started. Holger is working on that. It's actually an unmetclinicalneeds.com database where we try to put these needs in, and maybe somebody is at some point in time interested in doing it. So it really doesn't have anything to do with this lecture right now directly, but I always try to stimulate people to keep their eyes and ears open. If they see something where they believe there should be an improvement done, write it down. If you don't write it down, it will be forgotten. This is all it is. Okay, I'm going to drop you in a second, and also the training program for this Schulung. And you get something nice. It looks like this. Then you get a nice little certificate.
I think I posted the link already.
Yeah, if you post this, yeah. But I actually made a. I'll do this right now before I forget it, because I put the training program together. And if you actually try to do the test and have this training program that I'll send you in a second on hand, you'll pass the test. You don't even have to read through it right there. So let me just do this. Export. Okay, you should have it now. Okay. This one too, please. Do your, it's good for you if you just think about your personal MTP. I think I have received it from Christoph and from nobody else. Maybe Beatrice. Did you do that too? I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, a long time ago already.
I save them all. I look at them at the end of the lecture. But I will read through both of your papers and give you some recommendations, because we may decide. I'll talk with you later on. Depending on how it is, I may actually put this together and publish all these papers. Yeah. Okay, group assignment is clear. We don't need to talk about this anymore. Just a quick one on digital health, because we talked already about digital health. Digital health will be the future. I think we are all agreement that there will be a lot of things happening that will use data. And you have a book there, Victoria, or what was it? What is it? I can't read it. Oh yeah. Okay. Very good. And is that okay? And who's the author? Victoria, who's the author?
Heinemann and Mathe.
Oh, Heinemann. That's from Essen too. Yeah, that's from the FOM. He's an idiot. I know him personally quite well. He's from the FOM in Essen. He's not even from the. He works at the university, but the professor is at the Hochschule. But anyway, clear. I mean, what we said with the. But the book is good, so don't worry. It's all good. Yeah. What we remember what we should do with the value proposition of new devices. They should be robust. They should be cheap. They should be connected. They so all these features, development features, and the same thing, there's also development features for digital health. They should help people in need. They should disrupt existing technologies. That's when they're valuable. They include patients in the design. That's also important. There's a lot of patient advocacy groups now being formed that will actually put the patient in the center of health. And you need to communicate what you want to do in digital health too. You are aware and you know that Germany is the only country right now where you can actually have a digital application be certified as a medication or as a support tool. And you can get paid for by the health insurance. So it's an official, kind of like a prescription. A doctor can write a digital prescription, digital pill. So there's a lot of things that will happen in this one. There's a lot of innovation barriers around there, and I put some things down for AI, but I guess I'll leave it up to you to read this later on. We don't necessarily have to go into these things at the moment, but there's a lot of people who are also very concerned about AI and developments that will happen in the future. A lot of people are concerned with privacy issues, IT security issues. And maybe I'll go back one more time to what we just have dumped in the WhatsApp file with this with this 4 billion for the German government. 15% of that amount have to be invested in IT security and in cybersecurity and making sure that patient data is being protected. So there's a lot of focus on that one, because if you have no trust in these programs, no trust in what happens to your data, you will probably not use it. And we also have to, think about complexity of devices and products and users. That's why I thought also when I look at the presentation of what Zurag is doing, you need to work intensively on also an easy form of presentation. I think that would be dramatically helpful. Okay. Again, a lot of the slides that I use today are maybe not completely in context, but I use it a little bit as putting some things together in a summary. This is again focusing on the aspect that I started the whole lecture process with. You need to focus on the problem and not on the product. You need to understand the problem first, and because that is also the reason why a lot of the ideas fail or are not even being implemented into the process, because there was no market or customer knowledge available, or the people who designed it did not actually take care of checking the patient, checking the needs, and checking the environment. They just decided that it was a cool product and let's go for it. Obviously, it is important to have some product features that differentiate you from the competition, that are easy to use, maybe also simplicity. But if you don't understand the needs and you don't understand the problem, you have a very high chance of failing. Okay, and regulatory approval, even though it is obviously necessary and essential to get the product into the market, is not the issue, because once you have done the other two things done, you'll certainly tackle that problem as well. So every time, and maybe that goes also back to the discussion we just had with the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas, and making focusing on the values that count, is to look at these three items here, maybe ask these three questions, or have these three questions represented into your business model canvas. Is it desirable? Do people actually want it? So the value proposition combined with the customer is, do we really want this? Is the customer really in need of what you think is a good value proposition? Then you need to check feasibility. Feasibility is actually, can it be done? And that's the left side of the business model canvas. And then the bottom part says, is there a business model behind it? Is it actually viable? Is the income higher, the revenue higher than the cost? And that answers the question, obviously, on whether you should do it or not. Because if it is what people want, and it is something that we can do, but it's not something that we can ever pay for, there's not enough customers, so it's way too expensive, we'll never make it in the market, then it's probably also not worth doing it. On the other hand, you may use this information to think, okay, we can't do it with this business model, but maybe we have to rethink and maybe take some features out. Now we can talk blue ocean. Features out, focus on other values, and then maybe have a different business model in place. And please think about doing a combination of these three canvases that we have. They're very, very, very complementary. In the value proposition canvas, you basically analyze, you have a hypothesis about what your product or your feature or your process can do, and you try to verify on whether that actually matches the needs of the customers, right? By looking at what jobs need to be done, what pains and possible gains are, and you need to try to match that. And whatever you get out of this is basically the value proposition. It's basically, this is what I offer, and I already have identified my customer because I did the value proposition for the stakeholders. And these are then, and you can use the business model canvas then subsequently to think about what kind of exponential attributes could I implement or work on to make this a very scalable model, and to make it really attractive, and to make it to actually be able to do it with little resources, few resources, but still create a really nice following. So these are really, really interesting. And you see the E part of the EXO canvas, that stands for what, Ratusha?
I forgot.
You forgot. So what is it? Does anybody know what the E stands for?
Experiment.
Experiment. Okay, so that's a customer experiment, right? So if you're not willing to do experiments, you will probably not be in a future an exponential organization, because you're stuck too much on one set. So use this setup. I really like this chart because it shows the validity and of these three canvases for different processes and checking different things. So this is also what I would like to see you have done for your teamwork. Okay. So I don't necessarily want to do the Google Canvas in 10 minutes because that would be mean. Or you want to do it? You want to do the Google Canvas together in a breakout room?
Sorry, actually, I have to leave because I have a meeting afterwards.
Everybody has meetings, right? I have a meeting with my wife to have dinner. So
even better than mine.
Okay. So no, let's not do Google. Let's do Nespresso. I have the next one. I'll put you on a little breakout room, but quickly on Google. I think we have discussed this already. The value proposition is find something free and easy, right? And the general customer for that is the normal user, everybody here on this call. And we typically have as a channel, it's not even marked there, as a channel, we have a little bar, right? The Google bar where we just formulate a question. And then we expect something to come back. Now, this is for free, this model. This is the $0 you say at the bottom, but from $0 you cannot live. And what do you need for this, by the way, to get this done? You need as a key resource, incredibly well worked out search algorithms and the hardware and the servers to do this, and fast connections, etc. Right? So this is kind of like the business model of Google, very quickly said. But the business model has is one thing is missing, is the component is missing, that they really need to make money, and the money they make with the advertisements. So the only reason why Google works is because everybody's using it, 4 billion people or 3 or 2, and even this narrowest search. I'm looking for a motorcycle built in 1964. There's probably hundreds of people who search for the same thing. That allows advertisements to give you a specific response. And by the way, while I talk about it, I want to show you my newest toy, because I bought a new toy yesterday. I want to show you this one here. '64 Land Rover Defender.
Cruiser, right?
It's a Land Rover Defender.
A Defender, right? But with the cabrio, right?
Actually, it's not a Defender. It's called a Series 2.
But it's missing something in the back, or is it just a video?
No, it's a convertible, but you have a hardtop. It's a hardtop. A hardtop comes with it too. So
okay, yeah.
This is what it looks with a hardtop.
Exactly. Perfect.
1964. So anyway, I'm very happy about that. So this is the business model of Google. And now I would like you to think about very simple like this setup here. And I like you to do this because it is very important in the future. You'll find this out. When you actually try to analyze how other companies and other businesses work, you can actually make a business model canvas and analyze other companies. So if I would be Surak, for example, I would try to understand of how these potential customers of mine work. How does Corindus work? How do and understand their business model and try to actually find out how do I fit in there to a certain extent. Or if I have a competitor, I try to understand how this competitor works and see what can I do differently to work better. So it's not only useful for analyzing your own idea, but it's also important to analyze existing setups and try to learn from them. Okay. So Nespresso. You have the business model canvas in front of you. No? It's good enough if you just discuss this for 5 minutes and just come up with, like, think about value propositions, think about who is the customer, and think about the business model behind it, and maybe key activities and key resources, right? So the question is, how do I do this again with this? Can anybody tell me again how we do this with these breakout rooms? All right, here we go. Here, I have it. So here we go. Everybody ready? So we have more. Okay, it's all good. You didn't want to work, huh?
No, luckily, before you entered the room, we started to Google the Nespresso canvas.
Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, that probably is a smart way to do it. But think about it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course you can, as long as you can explain it later on to me, because you still have to discuss it among yourselves, right?
Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're not going to make very long. I'm going to do this only 5 minutes. I will have a more difficult one for you to come right after that one. So.
Okay. So I think the main concept of Nespresso is to sell the capsules of coffee. So get rid of the machines.
And the blade is the coffee capsula, which is sold very expensive. And I think that's how they make money. Because once you have the machine, you don't want to, you stay with it somehow.
Yeah, but I think differently, Moritz, I think I mentioned before, is Nespresso selling machines?
No, they are selling the capsulas.
So the machine is not the first thing. The first thing has to be the decision to actually go to Nespresso. Yeah. You don't buy an Nespresso machine just for heck, and then you find out, oh shit, now I have to buy Nespresso capsules, right? So the idea of having these Nespresso capsules is actually the reason to buy a coffee machine. That's typically what happens. And you make that decision on purpose. And like I don't know if you remember the time when we discussed buying a coffee machine for Inca. I know that it was before your time. Some of the people were trying to make a PhD thesis out of making a decision on what coffee machine to buy. And I said, let's buy an espresso. And why? Why would I go for an espresso?
You have one at home, maybe?
Actually, I don't have one anymore. I used to have one. I have a Seiko now, so I actually do the coffee. But I'm pissed off. Every time that I get to this damn thing, I have to fill water, I have to clear the tester, and I have to clean that damn coffee machine, right? Now, I sometimes have different feelings. I sometimes want to have a strong coffee, then I want a less strong coffee. You know, if you have these coffee machines, you have to push different buttons, and you have to be careful that, you know, there's not overstreaming or anything. Nespresso, you take a gold one, you take a dark one, you take a blue one, and you know what it means, you know? And you put this damn capsule in there. There is no dirt. There's no, it's always clean. The only thing you have to do is throw these capsules away and fill water. And you know what? Another thing, you know what a Seiko coffee machine costs, the one I have?
1,300.
Not bad. So roughly, I mean, it's a little bit more than 1,000. You're right. What does a Nespresso coffee machine cost?
60.
Oh, yes. Now do the difference. 1,300 minus 60 is 1,240. Divide that by the amount of extra cost per coffee. You can drink a hell of a lot of coffee before you come up with that investment. So I'm not sure that cost really is an issue, but I don't want to tell you what it is. I just, you know, put yourself in a position why you would do this. Now, in a setup like Inca, maybe Nespresso is not a good idea because we drink too much coffee. But if you're at home alone, what is the business model? Where do you buy Nespresso? You go to an Edeka or to a Rewe or to?
Da gibt es diese euren Läden, ja.
The Nespresso shops, right?
Yeah, but they're few. You normally buy it online. You have an online account. They say, oh, Moritz, last time you bought 10 Lungos and 10 blah, blah, blah. Do you want that again? You say, yes.
They also skip
next day you have it. Huh?
So they also skip the
middleman.
Man in the middle.
Yeah, basically. And what they do is, when you order your 50 or 100 coffee pads, they give you one for free, a really nice, colorful one, which nobody has except for you, Moritz. It's just for you. So you feel like a cool customer. oh, every time, you know, this is what when you look at the exo canvas, not in terms of business model canvas, think in terms of exo canvas. This is crowd and community, right? So you involve the people in it. You have experiments in there because you try the new coffee out. You basically give them the new coffee and see, I gave Moritz a pack of this coffee. Is he ordering it the next time? It's an experiment, right? So, I mean, think a little bit in terms of this. They have a dashboard. They know exactly how much you have ordered and how much you have used. I mean, they know a lot. And this is really a cool setup they have done. So I don't want to do too much, tell you too much more. So I'm going to give you 3 more minutes to discuss it, and then I'll bring you back. And I have actually a more challenging one for you to do in a sec. Yep.
Okay.
So everybody back?
Guck mal, mal ganz kurz den Dings.
Das sind noch 47 Minuten. Nachher hat es sein vielleicht.
Since we hear Moritz and Victoria talking, why don't you tell us your results? What is Nespresso? Explain it.
Nespresso has a razor and blade business model paired with a lock-in strategy.
Did you Google it too, or?
No, we used it in the Surak Exist application.
Oh, cool.
As
Okay.
an example. So they, for customer relations, I think they first acquire the customers, and then they are, as soon as they buy the machine, they are locked in somehow, because the users have to buy repeatedly these capsules online. So this is already the channel. They sell directly to the customer and not via, or only very seldom via a retail partner. Yeah, and the revenue streams is basically these repetitive sales of the capsules.
Yeah. And you basically locked in, right? So, and you feel, you know that you're locked in, but do you feel bad about it?
I don't think so, because if you see the facts, then you would only use these few euros for the machine if you would leave. So you're economically, you're not that locked in.
And you are, yeah, you are, but you, at the end of the day, most of these people, and that's what, again, you think about in terms of the exo canvas, you are actually feel okay. You feel like you're well taken care of. There's a good service. They come up with new things that they share with you, that they give to you. It's when you really have done that, you have next day delivery. It's really awesome how quickly it goes, and the coffee is actually good. It's not a bad coffee. They have high quality coffee they use there. And it is, there's also something that is very interesting. My wife makes me actually drink tea at the moment. The problem with tea drinking is you have to have the water hot first. So I go out, I have to put the water heater on, then I have to wait for 2 or 3 minutes till the tea is ready. I don't want to wait that long. I'm too lazy for that. I mean, I'm not patient enough, maybe. You know, coffee, Nespresso, you turn the thing on, you push the button, you have your coffee. And this is not for everybody. There's a lot of coffee connoisseurs out there who would not like that. But for a lot of the people, it's actually a cool thing. So you learn something from these business models, because that's also something that we try to actually put in the medical field. You remember that there is always or very often there is a capital expense, right? You buy an MRI. But what is the Nespresso component? What is the business that Siemens makes or GE makes money with continuously? They sell only one time this MRI. Yeah, one time they make money. And what is next? What are they doing the next year? They cannot sell any new MRI to the same customer. But what do they do?
Maintenance, probably.
Maintenance, a service contract. They may offer upgrades, new software packages, maybe new services. They have you, in a way, to a certain extent, hooked too. If you add, the life expectancy of an MRI machine is about 7 to 10 years. And if you add the service cost over 7 years up, it's exactly the same amount than you paid for the MRI machine. You know, so they basically, and the service, the gross margin, the profit on the service is about 50%. The gross margin on the MRI is about 15%. So they make significantly more money with the service later on than they make with the machine initially. So these are the kind of things you have to also think of when you think about a new idea, new model, is what kind of ideas can you combine that with? Okay. Oh, who's recording? Somebody's recording on top of it. All good.
Victoria's recording.
Victoria's recording. Victoria is she's a bad one. We have to see. Okay. All right, let's go on. I give you one job to do. This is not what I want you, what I wanted you to see. Let me just go to the thing I wanted you to see. Here we go. All right. I dropped it already in the WhatsApp group, so you have it as a combination. This is one of the ideas that we have in Inca. We have basically want to create a 3D printed patch, a radioactive patch. So the idea is that you have a superficial tumor, skin tumor, dermatologic tumor. We basically want to measure it out. We have information about the surface and about the depth, which means we can calculate a certain amount of radiation dose that would be needed to kill that. And then we basically print a personalized patch that you would then put onto the skin, and you would apply this radioactive pharmaca to it. Particularly in the face, that would be good because you don't have to have surgery on it. So this is a little bit the background behind this. This is the flow chart. So you have this tumor, you measure it, you then print the patch, you have the patch on, and then you leave it on for a couple of hours, and then you throw it away. So knowing that, what would you say the business model should look like? What are potential exponential attributes you would suggest this business to use? I actually put down this Miro board, but I think that's too complicated to use. You can try it out, but this is a joint whiteboard. They used to be able to get a whiteboard out of this Zoom, but not anymore right now. So maybe you want to use that, but probably not. I would like to give you about 5 to 10 minutes to discuss this and just come up with like just some ideas about the, think about the business model canvas, but not necessarily fill anything out. Use this information to think what kind of exponential attributes would you actually suggest for this company? Okay, understood? Now, Holger, you cannot Google it because there's no information available on this one. So you have to live with this. So I'll put you in erneut erstellen. Okay. And don't worry, I will not stress you too much. So we'll do this 10 minutes, and then I'll give you just some quick overview. We'll run through, and then I'll let you go. 7:15. Is that okay? Can you all stay that long? Yeah, Beatrice is not.
Beatrice not.
No, I'm thinking about the project.
Okay, very good. I'll leave you again so that you not get confused. So don't think too much about it, but I think it's an interesting exercise, and there's something you can do for yourself too, Beatrice. Get people together and let them think about your business model.
But I think
Like you see the patch the next day, and this is then the capsule part, basically.
Okay.
I just wanted to quickly note that I don't want to make. Once we're done with this one, we have I run through the slides, and I'll let you go by 7:15. I would think. I hope that's okay for everybody.
That's okay.
All right.
Because I think in algorithms, the technology used probably, no?
Yeah, I think it's more about the 3D printing. So that's a new advancement. And
And then we have the engagement. I mean, how the patient maybe is involved in the thing.
Does not need to be the patient, could also be the doctor.
The doctor, okay.
I don't know, Michael, what's the usual procedure when you have got a face tumor, face skin tumor? So
you would probably cut it out. Probably would be the, but the problem, that's one of the things, it's not applicable for everything, but if you have a tumor right there, you don't want anybody to touch your nose to cut anything out, right? Or under the eye, or in air. I mean, if you have, sorry when I say that, but if you have a spot in your ass, you don't care whether somebody cuts a hole in there, right?
Yeah,
But
sure.
in the face, you do. And so for certain applications, you would prefer not to be treated by cutting.
Yeah, but aren't there therapies with radiation in patients?
Yeah, but the problem is that you typically irradiate too much. It's not personalized because you don't exactly know how the tumor actually goes down. It's a cream you can use. And what we want to do is we want to basically put a shape down, and then you fill it up with that cream, and then the rest is shielded. So it would only treat that surface and then go down where the depth you can calculate actually over time. So the longer you leave it on, the deeper it goes. At least that's the theory. Yeah.
All right.
So
I think it's always difficult to discuss these medical issues if you don't know what's the usual treatment and what's the state of the art.
No, but it's not so important. What you need to learn is that you need to just take assumptions. You know, you can also, that's always something you would do later on in your experiment. You would try to verify it, but you need to start first with an assumption. I believe it could be really good to have an engagement done by this and this, and then you find out, maybe not possible. You need to check it. So this is also an exercise I would like you to do, because it is very important that you anticipate and you try to predict things and to try to just assume things, and then you try to subsequently follow up and find evidence for or against it. Yeah. But this starting with it's always easier to criticize something that has been done than starting to do something new. So what you do now is you start something and then you start to criticize on your own development by finding certain things out. So I give you another couple of minutes, okay?
Kleine Rollen.
Stimmt, macht natürlich Sinn, ja.
Ja, ist besser. Gold, silver.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but this could also be in a covered box, so so it's exclusively just ours.
I would let them pay for the filament and the use. So
yeah.
They print something, they pay a fee for that.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to have just a patient fee.
Per patient, yeah.
Even though what the company does at the moment is they sell you the cream per becquerel. So they have a measure on the radioactivity.
So that means that higher the radiation, that higher again a radiation fee. Or
yeah, for them, if they have a large area to cover, they have to send more cream out there, and then the cream basically is that radioactive material, and they sell you the cream by becquerel, by the amount of radioactivity delivered, and which probably is okay too. But I'm just saying how they do it right now, and they would like to also have a means of actually improving that process. Because the health insurance comes back, then you use too much, and they don't want to pay for it. So it's they need to have a measure, and that was always a problem up to now.
But maybe when it is the still in use system, then we maybe have to think about also to change a little bit the calculation of our materials and how to get money for this.
Okay, another minute, and I'll get you back. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Everyone back? So, team one, you want to share shortly some key results, some key ideas?
Who's team one?
I think that was Holger's team.
oh.
Oh no, that's not true. That was team two. It doesn't really matter. So whoever wants to start from one team.
Okay, then Moritz start. They have the notices. Okay.
Okay, so our our revenue stream was basically that we sell everything which is required for printing the patches, so the printer and maybe a software related to that enables the surgeon to print it in his or her office is sold quite cheaply, and then we ask them for a patient fee. So per patient, they pay a certain fee when they print a patch for them.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just add, the customer is a private practice dermatologist. So I think by a superficial cancer, it is not a surgeon from the hospital. It is more the private practice, and that he can directly print it in his private practice.
Oh, so let me ask. So you basically sell the printer, and then
No. The first idea was that we give the printer for free and have a service packages including software and maybe a certain amount of filament per month, but with a patient fee what is calculated, but just a per patient fee. So that when that the surgeon or that the doctor is not forced by per usage application, so
yeah.
that he gives the best for the per patient. So
Okay.
if
What
the patient
about
needs
just
more-
sending the data information of the tumor to a central office and then they print?
that is related to our software that we have then overall algorithm what calculates then the amount of possible usage and
Okay. So do you have any exo attributes you believe are could be used or exploited or should be implemented?
I think we have algorithms for as interface to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So and also interfaces. Dashboards we can easily use to show what how many patches were ordered.
Yeah.
For example.
We have extra camera software, what then also stores the healing process and what also then can be calculated by an algorithm that we have as history of the healing process and of the care of different cancer types, from white cancer to all the other related.
I mean, in general, you should not. You just said we could use following attributes. It's not a could, it's a should.
Yeah.
What kind of should we use to actually make this a cool product? And that's how you should think, right? So what is something that would actually lift my the speed of implementation, the acceptance rate, and actually the business? So how could I do this? Not as you can do anything, you can do dashboards, but what is the advantage of using dashboards? This is how you have to think. Okay.
A cool idea maybe by this is really with the camera, that there's an application for the handy that he just when there is cancer detected or something like this, he makes a picture, and based on the borders of the picture, the patch is printed automatically.
Yeah.
Maybe they can even do it at home if it works like that.
Well, there's one problem. You don't have the depth, so you have only the surface. So if you assume that the tumor shape is actually the same on the surface and in the bottom, and you know how many millimeters it is, then it's okay. But if you don't know that, then you have a problem. Then you still need to have some form of diagnostic information, imaging information that gives you actually the depth, and then allows you to calculate the depth profile and the radiation profile.
But is it measured with infrared or something like this?
Typically, you actually have a CT scan, believe it or not, or an MRI.
I mean, otherwise, I have to say, because my dad is in the same mood for his, he has different areas on the head, and it is not scanned. They cut in 1.5 years several pieces out, and then they check it.
They look at whether it still is. Basically, they look at the histopathology of this. So if there's no more cancer cells, they leave it.
Yeah.
Okay. Other group. Any extra stuff you want to say? If you say no, it's also good. But do you come up with some extra exo attributes that are important? No, there's Philip checks
that on demand maybe also. For example, if we follow the approach that we put a printer in every doctor's office, then we just need the staff to install these printers, and if there are no printers to install or software, then we don't use the stuff.
Yeah, but you could think, I mean, I think putting it in a doctor's office may be too expensive and maybe not, but you could think about regional centers. You could say that you have a regional partner who buys that and basically pays a license fee for doing the service of doing the business. That's also staff on demand. It's actually leveraged assets too, because they would basically operate the scanner on their premises, and you would have nothing to do with it. Okay. Now, again, I want to just use this as a real-time example from our own lab, but use these kind of thinking processes for your own projects as well. Okay. All right, I have to click on it again. All right, I wanted to show you some of the movies, but I'm not going to do that because we don't have enough time. But as I have always the link, they have the links on it. I'll send you the links on these ones. Those are really cool. Steve Blank is a developer basically of the design thinking process. And you may have seen some of his videos. They're only about 2 or 3 minutes long. And they are really, really cool to watch at. Just basically trying, one more time to explain of how to fill out the value proposition canvas, or it's actually running now, but I'll send you the links on this one. So we don't have to listen to it right now, but you can do it at home, okay? Same thing goes for minimal viable prototype. Explains a little bit. I mean, we have gone through that, but I think it would be quite helpful for you to actually look at it one more time. So also here you get the link. Same thing for customer discovery. All the things that we discussed today that are important. It's not always knowing, not always believing you know what the customer is, and verifying who the customer is and what they really want. And last but not least is the customer testing, the experiments. So all of these, again, are only like 2 or 3 minutes long and very worthwhile to watch it. And if you really are interested in this stuff, Steve Blank has a really, really cool blog You get a monthly message from him too, and he has really nicely made minimal viable prototypes of his teaching. So this is what he has in these videos. So it's really well done. So I'll send these to you in the next one. What's this one here as a quick last one here?
A Waschmaschine.
A what?
Waschmaschine.
Oh, washing machine. No. Nobody, any other ideas?
Sunrise. A sunrise.
All right, 2 is good enough. All right. You saw this little thing there in between, but
this happens also when the sun goes down, that it's starting to get blurred.
I just wanted to give you a quick one because I think it's really important, particularly when we talk about health democratization, is what I call and others call reverse innovation. So what we do at the moment is we are actually developing things from the developed world for the developed world. We typically, in the developed world, don't care about what happens in the developing world. We don't develop anything for them. So if you look in the medical field, what very often happens is that whatever is not used anymore in Germany is then being sold to India as a used equipment. So it's basically the specification for a developed world rather than taking into consideration what they really need. And reverse innovation is actually reversing this, turning this around. It is trying to develop something for the needs of that particular country area, which is not, they don't have the same amount of money available. They don't have they may have the same problems, but they have a different infrastructure, maybe a simpler infrastructure available. It needs to be very robust. It needs to be connected. So all these features that I think that we should do are really needed there. They don't have a lobby system in place where when the doctors in Germany say we don't want to have that, then it will very likely not be implemented. In these countries, need is of much higher importance. So reverse innovation basically means that when we are not looking at a place that is overregulated like what we have, we don't have in Germany, also in most of the countries around us, this huge problem between rural and urban setups. You have everything available in the city, and if you go 50 kilometers, you have nothing available anymore. So to do that, you should actually try to develop something in that developing world for the developing world, for specific needs of this place. And surely enough, guaranteed, once it works there under these circumstances, there is a market for that in the developed world as well. Because the developing nations, they think more, they have to think more disruptive, while we in the developed world think more incremental. So these disruptive solutions could theoretically be much easier implemented and developed in these developing nations. And once they make it there, I guarantee you, they can actually find a business in the developed world. And we see this with a lot of equipment that is now being manufactured, even from the big manufacturing companies. The newest and latest CT scanners that GE is presenting on the low end side is coming from India. The new X-ray robot system that is developed by Siemens is basically a system that moves on the ceiling, is actually developed in China for the Chinese market. And it was in the Chinese market about 3 or 4 years before before they thought, it may not be bad for the European market either. And then they sent it over. So this is what reverse innovation is meant. And I think we can actually stimulate some developments in the future there as well. So that was reverse innovation. Then I want to go quickly on the moonshots, because we mentioned that. I'll show you some of my innovation rules and we're done. So now, none of us here is Elon Musk or Larry Page or Jeff Bezos or Richard Branson. And I'm not entirely sure if we want to be like that. But if you look at these guys, Elon is a prime example, Richard Branson too. They come repeatedly, they have success. You know, they have ideas and they have very forward-looking ideas, and they are successful with it. And they have to have somewhat of a long-term thinking, and I think that's number 5, right? I mean, Tesla as a car company has been successful only for 1 year. I mean, if you look at profitability, they have been in the news for a long time, but he had to think very long time to make that happen. And I still believe that the Tesla is not a good car, but I think the battery technology is great. And and some of the concept that he has is great. And I think he will eventually gain so much control over the car market, not because of Tesla being a good car, because of the Tesla battery technology being used by others as well. I think that's really, I think, his core concept. He's also interested in space and other things, and that goes for a lot of these guys too. They are very passionate, they have a purpose, they believe in experimentation, they have a lot of failures, and failures are good, they always consider that good. They risk a lot of things, but they don't risk everything. And they're very optimistic. I don't think I've seen Elon and any of these guys not being, communicating an optimistic perspective. This is just, I don't want to go into it in detail, but this is the official, you can download it. If you Google at Google 8 innovation principles, that's what you get. It's an officially stated goal. We want to focus on the user. That's actually what we're trying to do here too. Focus on the problem, focus on the patient, focus on the stakeholder. Please have that as your #1 goal on that. Okay, think big, start small. What is that? That's an MTP. Think big, but of course you cannot think that big, but you need to have a plan for the future. And the moonshot, to stay with that, I don't know if Victoria, if I got the same result. It's basically that you should not try to think in a 10% manner, but you should think in a 10x or 100x manner. And you should try to you give yourself a very distant, almost unreachable goal. And this unreachable goal, when you try to actually pursue that and think about how you can solve that, you will actually find out it's not that much more difficult to think in terms of doing 100 times better than doing only 10% better, because you have to start your thinking process from the beginning. So the moonshot is something where you really have a far-fetched goal and a goal that everybody believes is not reachable. How can we go to the moon? Actually, that moonshot, just to give you a historic perspective, that was formed in 1961 when the US decided to actually go to the moon. And everybody at the Kennedy administration said, "You're nuts, this is completely impossible." And he said, I want to be, by the end of the decade, I want to be on the moon. Let's do everything possible to get on the moon. And that's why the terminology moonshot was developed. Have a far-fetched goal, give yourself a time goal and something you want to reach, and then think about how you will reach that. Is that something that that you found out too, that is a definition of moonshot, or Victoria? No, you don't want to talk?
Moritz, tell me what it is. I know it.
But was it something similar, or?
Yeah.
I give you this is the bottom sentence on this one. I think you should give yourself a moonshot and maybe say, I want to reach that moonshot in 5 or 10 years, and then go backwards and see, what do I have to reach to actually show that I'm progressing towards my moonshot? What do I want to have achieved? If I have a 5-year moonshot, what do I want to have achieved in 3 years, in 1 year, in 6 months? Okay, so here explained a little better. This is a little breakdown on this one. Now, of course, this is, I know that you won't do that. I'm not doing it myself either, but this is how these people really realistically think. They have a plan, and that plan is being altered and changed based on the developments, but they still have this moonshot. Okay, last but not least, I want to give you my innovation laws, but we don't go through this, and you can just say they're pretty silly, but these are the ones that I believe are good for me, and I try to follow them. I try to do things really fast, and I know that I don't do them always well, but when you do them fast, you can actually get more things done. At least you feel like you can get more things done. I also believe that, I know a lot of people say that you should always concentrate on one thing and do that 150%. I do believe that if you have options, you should consider doing both. So not necessarily focusing one, because it always gives you the option of going back to something else. And of course, try to fail often, early, and fast. And this is the whole goal of this lecture, is to teach you that failure is a cool thing. It's not a bad thing. It's really, really good, as long as it's done early. Okay, and I have actually more goals, and you can read through them and can make your own goals. That's also something that I would advise you to give yourself some rules and some goals, and rules not necessarily to limit you, but rules that stimulate you. Okay, and with this, I'm done. I expect you, as always, that you work a little bit on your project. Did you try to improve that? Please do another assessment. Maybe put them in one line and see what has happened in the last weeks when you did certain things, what has improved. And let's discuss that then at the next lecture next Friday. Yeah? Anybody have anything else to say? No? Let me just stop this. It's always difficult to get to my, this is the next lecture. I can't see my cursor here. All right, I'll do this. This is better. Okay, so nobody has anything else to say?